everybody, welcome to the channel for a new practice game before ETC. I played against Döder from Team Luxembourg, who was playing Orcs and Goblins. You know already my list, this was his list. So he's playing very combat army. I think typically the type of Orc and Goblin that we see at this ETC. We have, as very often, a fighty general, then we have the shaman, adept of shamanism on the wyvern that we also saw a lot. A master thaumaturgy with binding scroll. Two big block of orcs. Then he has a big cavalry who are head bashers and have MR2. And the fourth going unit will be a goblin bunker. He has a piece of chaff, 3 single model, 1 GGI, 2 giants, and then an orc chariot that is also helpful to support the giant and give them the weapons that they need. We played all the target, and below you have the spell selection for both of us. What can I say about the matchup? Yeah, it's a pure combat list. He has 2 blocks, 1 bodyguard unit that is quite scary with a fighty lord. Secondary, I felt he has no very independent scoring. He needs his leadership. He needs to play quite tight. So I was feeling that putting space between the 2 markers would definitely be to my advantage. And I have no big interest in starting the game because all the target is scored at the end of the both player turns, meaning if you play second, you can very often optimize the number of scoring units you want to have near a target. Estimation, I felt it's a very drawish matchup. Let's move on to deployment. He won the side and gave me this part of the map, place his target like that. So he took the big center with the hill and put here his marker. I place my marker on the opposite part of the map. And then I told him you can start to deploy, and he elected to drop everything to start the game. He plays very strong half part of the map. So we have from right to left the giant, veteran orc, the goblin with the mage, shaman. We have then the cavalry with the general, the chaff piece, the unit of feral orc, GGI, chariot, and a giant to close his flank. So he's putting nothing near to my flank here on the left. I will deploy only the blunderbuss in 10 wide. I think they are perfect unit to be behind the wall and just close the zone and make very hard for him to approach me. We have then the incarnate that can either support or move towards the right quickly. Vassal levies, bastion, lugars, and then on the far right I just left anointed, overlord, and giant. I wanted to try out to see if I can sneak in at scenario point at some point if my opponent makes a mistake, and if I don't, I can always try to basically evacuate them. But I could also have deployed them a bit more left flank. I had the 2 options, but I felt let's try out to put them on the right. His turn one, so he pushed forward, and the thing is with the anointed being here, he need to respect me a bit more, what I might do with the charges. So he moved a bit forward, but cautiously, and left flank didn't move much. Magic face, he got Hand of Heaven on my anointed, did nothing. My turn 1. I push hard on the wall. I march pretty much with everything. And here I start to move, put all 3 threats very compact. Magic Face, Gravecold got dispelled, 4 dice against 4. And I got a breast weapon that killed only 1 feral. His turn 2, turns around the feral, continue to push towards me. So he's very occupied by this right flank with a lot of his points, which I like because this gives me time to try to reduce a bit the feral and then push forward. Magic Face got Hand of Heaven, did 3 wounds on my anointed. I passed the panic check on a 9, and he also got +1 to hit and +2 on the charge range, overrun and so on his cavalry. My turn 2, I back off with all my right flank curse. Now I elected that I cannot sneak in to win secondary. He has put too many scoring units, so I just move out of the way with anointed, and those guys covering the angle in case he wants to push hard. I can still cover with my single model and try to evacuate those guys. I push left flank almost perfectly. I think the Bastion wants to start to shoot and do some magic on those ferals. I should have been just 1 inch more away to trigger Frenzy, which could have been a nice addition here. I have plenty of counter charge set up. I would be steadfast, so no problem here. I push a bit left as well to be on the marker in the magic phase. I got breast weapon dispel on 2 dice against 2, which allows me to get a strength 6 Gravecold on this feral, and I kill 8 of them. And then the Bastion will shoot and only kill 3 more. which is a good total of 11, so that's a good quarter less in the unit. And like I said, should have been 1 inch more forward, because now he can just turn around, move away. He brings those single models more to the middle, start to push around with all the stuff. Magic phase. He gets End of Heaven on my anointed, did nothing, but then he gets also Wrath of God in front of me with 4 dice against 5. And that's it, my turn 3. I continue to move away, try to save points and get some points, start to push a bit forward here in the magic phase. Going to get a Grave Call that one-shots the chariot here, which is really nice, and also get 1 wound on the giant with the attributes, so I'm starting to get some points. He's turn 4. Move out of the way with giant, continue to push me here in the flank with multiple single model, push also a bit with his cavalry, but remains as a solid battle line and looking at me to make hard for me to really push forward. In the magic phase, get End of Heaven, did nothing on my anointed. He gets +1 to +2 on the charge for his cavalry, and his first Wrath of God comes down and do 3 wounds on the bastion, nothing on the Lugas. My turn 4, I continue to retreat here, push up. Yeah, nothing crazy here. I start to push a bit more, but still leaving him with very long charges. In the magic phase, I'm going to get a breast weapon, kill 2 of the cavalry in his unit here. Nothing else. He's turn 5. Yeah, he stays pretty compact. Nothing else will happen. He gets End of Heaven with 3 dice against my 5, which kills 1 model. I fail the panic on a 9, so my anointed flee off the board, which is annoying because now we are tied on points. And there is nothing I can really get in the 2 remaining turn, or he might get in the 2 remaining turn. So we basically ended up here. So uneventful game, like we say. Post-game analysis, and it's not over, guys, because I have some analysis and more simulation for you. So you will see it's not over. That's why I went pretty quick with the first part. Game remains a standoff, felt too risky for me to deploy in front of him, and I will show you in a second what I could have done differently. My turn 1, yeah, this small detail, but could have opened up the game a bit if he got frenzied, stand and shoot, and then killed by the counter charge. Could have really opened the game. And yeah, I think there is argument to try out the game in a more frontal way to see how it goes, because I didn't learn that much. So let's see. I thought first about how do I want to deploy, because it's a counter deployment. So if I want to go frontal, I want to put as little as possible on the left flank, which is 1 anointed unit and incarnate together to just protect them and make sure I win this one every turn. Then in the middle, the giant I think is best suited to fight against those ferals. The Bastion doesn't want to get too exposed, so would be middle-ish, can get to a wall if I need to. The Lugas on the wall are really strong to protect my flank. Then the Blunderbuss around here, around with another scoring, and the Overlord to basically get an option to maybe win or contest the secondary to win it, basically. That would be the idea. If at some point I can get enough scoring to be even on the right, I would win on the left, and then most likely win secondary. So we played that with my coach to see how it goes. I really wanted to see that. So he chaffed me, push forward. It's exactly how it was deployed, and I counter deployed like I told you more or less. He exploited the fact that I didn't really put the vassal here on the right, which also could have been, I think, slightly better, because now they get kind of blocked in the middle. And he pushed with the cav and everything a bit forward. On the turn 2, what happened? So I readjusted my position. He went with an 11 to rerollable Swift onto my Lugas, which he failed. He went with here an 11 Swift, which he made on my giant. And then the cavalry was pretty easy. He marched forward with the idol, marched forward, multiple stuff, but still respected what my Overlord could do. And then we are still engaged with the chaff. I have no track of the magic fest and so on, but I think it's quite interesting to talk about combat. He does a couple of wounds, but he has no combat res, and his weapon are going to be broken after the first round of combat. So basically my giant is safe in this kind of fight, because it's going to be AP 0 after the first round when he reforms. This combat is going to go hard on the Bastion and kill the Bastion and do some wounds. I'm going to be steadfast, which leaves me with the option to get a good counter charge from the Lugas, and it's all down to the counter charge going through those Orcs or not. So we'll see how that goes. My turn, so I counter charge in the flank. As you can see now, my mage is exposed. I took care of taking out the BSB before it happened, but now the mage is exposed. But I get the Lugars in the flank with a good amount of attack, and I felt this could be enough to... I need to kill all of them because they're bodyguard, so it's all down to that. Like I told you, the giant lost 2 wounds, but now it should be easier for him. And I'm ready to take on the right because he has no... he used the warg, so he has no warg anymore, making the long charges for the block not so likely. And then single model can come fight my blunderbuss. As long as I have the overlord as a cover, I feel there is no way he can really get that. What happened is the magic phase, my main priority. This time I took, I think, hereditary, pressed weapon, gravecore, and rot within, I think. And I'm not sure about that, but I think that's how it went. And I remember getting hitting on 3+, reroll 2 wound for the Lugars, which is key. Makes me 13 attack on the 3+, and then 2s to reroll, and he has the 6 up. So can I kill 8 guys with those attacks? That's the main question. If I do, he's auto break, and then I get the points for BSB and general. Most likely I can pursue the general at least. Make him flee this way and push this way, which makes, yeah, maybe I get him, maybe not, but 10, I feel he has no leadership anymore and so on. He gets in trouble, so I feel then the game should be mine. And on the opposite, if I don't kill all of them and he's bodyguard, then he can countercharge me here, so I can reform looking up, but still getting a Wyvern plus an idol against the Lugar might hurt, might be complicated, so yeah. And then my mage can also die to his Apocalypse. So I'm getting in multiple problems if he sticks. So it's very dicey combat. I think what happened here, I just didn't kill the 8. He made a couple of 6-up arm save and managed to stick. And we stopped here because we saw what we wanted to see, which is the main answer is it's a high variance game. If I'm playing in front of him with him starting and pushing straight, I'm not going to be near this secondary unless I'm really like he bounce and I can run after him and get into other combats. And then I'm going at some point to be close to that. But it needs a lot. It needs really for him to bounce. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be anywhere near this secondary objective quickly enough. So he should have it no matter what, because he's going to attack me from this right flank. And then it's all about the combat and exchange of points. But it's definitely a much more risky game than the approach that I took. And I think in this case, it's not really worth it because I'm like augmented variance for no big upside or no better chance of getting secondary. So just making a risky game for, I think it's not worth it basically. But it was very interesting to try out. I think it's also very risky for the Orc and Goblin like we saw here. I mean, if that gets killed, then it's very likely a hard loss for him. So it's not that easy for Orc and Goblin as well. But still I felt it's just too dangerous for me and too risky and can really go both sides. So not the type of things that you want at ETC. An unpredictable outcome is not something you wish for. Anyway, that was it guys. So I hope you liked the 2-game-in-1. It was really interesting for me to get some learnings. Also on a more risky approach to see which one was worth it. I think it's very interesting to do from time to time, especially for ETC, because you are trying to get top-notch risk management. Guys, thanks a lot for watching the battle report and talk to you very soon with another one. Bye.